What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Supper Suite at TIFF 2022. Got a big group right here. The group behind How to Blow Up a Pipeline. My God, this movie. A lot happens in a very short period of time. I emphasize how big this ensemble was because not only do you have to convey the information necessary to pull off this plan, but you also give just enough backstory on every single character to convey the purpose of why they are doing this. I was very impressed. I feel like I don't need to ask you to do this after I just blabbed about it, but can you give everyone out there who does not know what this movie is a brief synopsis of it?
Yeah, the movie is based on a manifesto by a climate activist named Andreas Malm, who basically writes about the fact that every single social justice movement in history has, at the very least, been predicated on the destruction of property, and that climate change poses an existential threat to human life on Earth and is kind of questioning whether or not property destruction is necessary to move away from fossil fuels and preserve human civilization and society as we know it. And so we adapted these ideas. The book has no story. It's just kind of political theory. We adapted these ideas into essentially a heist thriller film about 8 young people, young climate activists who blow up an oil pipeline in rural Texas. And the movie kind of walks you through in pretty exacting detail how they build the bombs and how they do it. And in kind of classic heist fashion, they have a very complex and exciting plan.
Before we get into all the details and the character specifics, I am really curious, how do you go from Cam to this? Because Cam was so good, so I imagine you have someone in your corner saying, like, just stick with horror, and this feels so different.
I mean, definitely after Cam, most of the industry opportunity that was like available to me was in horror. But I think that, me and all of the people that I work with, Issa Matsei, who produced this movie and wrote and produced Cam, Jordan Scholl, who wrote and produced this movie and was a writer on Cam. We all kind of are idea first filmmakers. And for me, I love all genre kind of equally. And I think for me, it's about how do I take a really great idea and make a film out of it that's exciting, that can, really connect with a wide audience, but that also really has something meaningful to say. And so for me, this is honestly a completely natural extension from Cam, in a lot of ways, and it's a lot of the same people. And I've also been lucky enough to add a bunch of new people to the collaborative team and collaborative efforts. So
I like seeing you show off your range. I love all types of movies. Horror is my number one. So when you return to the genre, I will be there as well. I want to be able to highlight everyone's character here. So a big group question, jump in whenever you feel ready. But just to highlight how they influence the plan and who they kind of are as a person, what would you say is their greatest asset in pulling all of this off? But then also, what's their greatest weakness that over the course of the film could completely obliterate their chances of making this work?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Wow. I feel like it's a good tease without spoilers, maybe? Yeah.
I think for Sean, one of his greatest strengths was his people skills. He was able to come to so many different people from different backgrounds and recruit them under the same like-minded goal. And his biggest weakness definitely is his fear. I think he came from a background where he wasn't directly impacted by these refineries. So while committed to the plan and definitely wanting to take a stance and make a change, he also was afraid for his future. Obviously, he wants to continue going to college and having a great normal life. So I think his fear kind of ruined a lot of the things in the film.
I'd say for Alicia, her greatest asset was her skepticism. Kept everybody in check, just about what is actually possible and keeping us grounded on why we're doing what we're doing. And then her greatest weakness has to be Theo, who Sasha Lane can be here, but I think her whole reason for being there, it totally and solely depends on Theo. So
I think Logan's biggest strength is his fearlessness, and it's also his weakness because he's an impulsive, sometimes thoughtless guy.
I'd say Michael's greatest strength is probably that he could do this by himself.
but that's also yeah.
Yeah, Michael carries.
But I feel like that's his greatest weakness as well, because it just would have, blown up in his face probably. So.
Yeah, I think Sochi's biggest strength is probably her passion and her intelligence to, put a plan like this together. And her greatest weakness is her all-consuming ego that, someone also simply has to have to put themselves at the center of a plan like this.
So I play Dwayne's wife, so I'll just speak a little bit to Dwayne. Is like, basically, I think his greatest strength is his courage and his determination. Logically, the way that he knows the land is obviously a big strength, but I think he has the Texas grit that when someone hurts themselves, he's like, all right, strap in, like, let's handle this. And I'd say his weakness is not a personal weakness, but probably the fact that his family lives in poverty. And the risk that he's taking doing this has pretty extreme repercussions.
I'll go back around here and I'll stay with you. You also mentioned that you were a script consultant here. What
Yeah.
exactly does that mean, and how did you contribute to what we see in the final film?
So I was the Texan script consultant because I was born and raised there, particularly in an oil rig town called Baytown. So I had a similar upbringing to Sasha Lane's character, where I was exposed to acid rain and a lot of pollution. My entire family lineage is manual labor workers at these oil rig companies that are, wildly underpaid. And so Danny and Ariella came to me and were like, hey, we have a Texan storyline in this, and we know that you have personal stories attached not just to Texas, but to the oil industry. And it was great to kind of be along the ride for the script and shape Dwayne in a way that felt really authentic and not just a caricature of a Texan.
So Ariella, did you two know each other before making this? How did you two come together for the writing process?
We met briefly right before shutdown because Danny was making another movie, and we met for it, and then he cast me, and then that was the Thursday before lockdown, and then everything fell apart.
Yes, right. I cast her on the lead of this movie, and then like a week later, it was like no more movie. But yeah, I just thought she was so brilliant and intelligent, and we really wanted to work together. And so we were just kind of looking for something and talking a lot during the pandemic, and then this project kind of just very naturally came together.
Wait, I'm sorry. This project was going to go before the pandemic, or was it
No,
a different one?
movie,
Oh my
a
God.
whole different movie.
I was
that
like,
no,
what?
That no
What is
longer
happening right
that
now?
no longer exists.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
R.I.P.
might not no longer exist. You never know what could happen.
No, it doesn't exist. It's
doesn't.
okay.
Okay.
It's gone.
In that case, it doesn't exist. How about for you, executive producer? How did that part come into your role on the film?
I feel like it was just starting with early conversations about the movie in like early stages, when I believe it was just Sasha Lane and I were like attached to the project. The script was going under a lot of revisions, especially with like the Michael character side of it. And it was like my just instruction, which is like not typically with like just this film, but like every film, like there's usually never a native or indigenous perspective anywhere. So like usually that burden is set on me, and I feel like this was the first film where like Danny just opened up the web to like a series of like consultants and people who we like either interviewed, whether that's like through the tiniest specifics like seed conservation, or like people who lived the life of like a son of like a revolutionary, or just all these people. And then I came in just from a character perspective. And so like in the end of this amalgamation of us just working together, we ended up shooting in January on my reservation in North Dakota in negative 40-degree weather for 2 days with a crew that was like all from LA. So it was like, like that sort of consultation turns into a very horrible experience. But
Legit just made me cold as you were explaining that.
Yeah, exactly.
We were shooting on film, and the camera literally would freeze, and the film would not move. So we had to strap like hot hands to the camera just to like be able to shoot. We'd have to shoot in like 15-20-minute bursts before we would have to like take the camera back into the van just to like warm it up, just so it could like shoot again. But yeah, that entire experience was Forrest's vision for the North Dakota leg of the movie. That was really something that he had like the shot with him in the flame spire. He, the first time we met, he was like, we're gonna go get this stuff, and dragged us all out there.
I have to wrap with you guys soon. I have so many more questions. Oh my God, Lucas, I'll go to you first. Logan and Rowan just kept me on my toes from start to finish. Where like I did understand who they were, but I also never knew what they were capable of. What is it like trying to keep the audience on their toes like that, but also making sure there was some consistency in the characters and their decisions?
That's a really good question. I liked that they were enigmas and a bit mysterious, and kind of they had a separate storyline than I feel like the rest of the group. They were kind of doing their own thing in the shadows, but I think it's a big testament to Danny and Ariella to keep me going, and the character's arc and the development and knowing where it was going, because I had to kind of keep reminding myself and trust, because the movie time jumps a lot, and I needed a lot of help. But it was fun though. Like, it made playing him so fun, and it was a lot of just going with my impulses and having a free performance, but being connected with the wonderful.
Yeah, how much of your
Christine.
performance do you think is improv?
I would say
40%.
40%.
I'd say like there's like a lot.
Yeah.
Lucas, I learned this just the other day. Lucas, like his first day on set, walked up to the script supervisor and was like, "Just so you know, I'm gonna be rewriting some lines, so keep an eye out." And I mean, like, he's an amazing improviser. Like, it really like there like so many jokes, so many like incredible just like moments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mother's milk. Pee
Mother's
on me.
milk.
I'm a script supervisor's worst nightmare.
Oh, they're making me rap with you too. So I just will say, at least your chemistry with Sasha Lane is just pitch perfect, and the leadership dynamic in this movie and how you guys convey that your characters are the leaders, but also making everyone feel equal as part of this plan is just something that really stood out to me. I wish I could talk to you all day about your movie. I have to let you go. Huge, huge, huge congratulations to you, and thank you for coming by today.
Thank you so much.
To everybody out there, stay tuned. More TIFF 2022 interviews at the Supper Suite soon.